Episode 233. Today we're talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between New Jersey and Colorado. It was a great game, and overall, I thought Colorado played really well, and I think they just purely dominated the game. I think New Jersey right out of the gate, they were kind of slow and they didn't really and they weren't able to gain a ton of offense and create a ton of offense. And I thought Colorado was just buzzing right from the get-go. They had 5 shots in the first 2 minutes of the game, and then you look at how their top line played. I think their top line was tremendous. I wrote about it in my article today with Nathan McKinnon, Arturi Lehkonen, and then Martin Necas. The trio together is just dynamite, and that trio together, they just work really well with each other. And they play at high speed, they play at high tempo all the time. They're always forechecking, pursuing with precision, and they're able to execute plays that many other top lines can't. And they're really effective. Nathan McKinnon was obviously the guy who really stood out the most on this top line of the three. And I think when talking about those guys, Martin H just adds a level of speed and puck skill that Mikko Rantanen didn't necessarily bring on McKinnon's line. And I think it's a different level of speed. I think with Natchez, he brings a top gear tempo that few players in the league can reach. And he's able to keep up with McKinnon, which is really difficult to do, but he makes it seem effortless when he's out there on the ice. And he did a really good job of doing that and doing a good job of that regularly in this game. And I thought he was managing the pace, he was managing the tempo, he was managing the flow of the game really well. Martin Necas, same thing. I think Necas was doing a really good job forechecking, using his angles and being able to forecheck with precision and speed. And then I think the underrated guy in that line is Arturi Lehkonen, where he doesn't necessarily get a ton of credit because he gets overshadowed by Natchez and McKinnon a lot of the time. But with Lehkonen, he plays a very important role in pursuing pucks, forechecking, and being able to get pucks back and play a solidified two-way game. And he's really reliable in that aspect of the game. And then outside of those guys, I thought Cale Makar was really noticeable, and I noticed him right from the start of the game in terms of his activation, his offensive zone play, and how he's able to create space offensively, how he's able to create downhill space in the ozone and move on the flanks and be able to open up space there and be able to open up shot lanes there. He was very effective at that, very effective at being able to manage the ice and just manage the game as a whole. I think when talk about Cale Makar, what really stands out the most is obviously his manipulative feat from the offensive blue line, how he's able to create space there, how effective he is at being able to manipulate pressure, and how effective he is at being able to open up space with ease. And he's doing a great job of that yesterday as well. And I think some other standouts like Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor are really noticeable in terms of checking ability and scoring around the net and being able to have that scoring touch near the crease. And then Jonathan Drouin was really noticeable as a passer. I thought he was threading the seam really nicely, making some really nice seam plays under duress, making some really nice hook passes, making some plays that are harder to find and harder to execute. And he was doing a good job of that. And I think Miles Wood was really effective against his former team as well. I think when it came down to how he was going to play, obviously he plays a very solidified checking game and two-way game and defensive game, and he's a really good role player in terms of defensive play too. But when it comes to Miles Wood, he just had that extra step in terms of playing against his former team and how he's able to manage the pace and the tempo and the flow of the game there. On New Jersey's side, I think the Hughes brothers are really good. Those two together, especially in the power play at 5-on-5. I think in terms of set ozone plays, they were noticeable as well, being able to move off each other and read off each other. I think Luke looked really good and arguably more noticeable than Jack in this game because of his speed, how he's able to manage his speed, how he's able to use his strides and the entries, how he's able to use his strides in the neutral zone, and how he's able to create space for himself in many different ways. I think he's doing an effective job of that. Seamus Casey, who was recently called back up, played in this game. I really liked his box outs defensively in this game. I think he's doing a good job getting goal side position on guys, being able to. Obviously, he's a smallerish defenseman, so he has to rely more on positioning and angles and stick detail to be able to shut guys down. But he was doing a good job of it yesterday. Good job of keeping up with guys, and he has the foot speed to do it to keep up with Colorado, so that helps him. And it's advantageous for him to be able to keep up with those guys as a result of his foot speed. So he was noticeable in that sense. I really like Paul Cotter's game off the rush. I think Paul Cotter, when it comes to his tempo off the rush and fluidity off the rush, he is one of the more underrated players on this team because he plays a really good role style game. He can play a middle six or a bottom nine or a bottom six role. Any of those roles he can be relied upon as a defensive player, as a two-way player, and also as a guy who can shut plays down effectively there. And I thought he was really good throughout this game. He did a really good job and was doing a great job creating chances. And then Jesper Bratt, who I really liked as well, just a really nice combo to the Jack Hughes line is essentially the same style player as Hughes. So those two really work in tandem with each other really nicely. And Jesper Bratt's obviously one of the more underrated and premier playmakers in the league, and one of the premier puck handlers in the league now as well. I think when talking about Jesper Bratt, you notice his foot speed, you notice his puck skills, and how agile he is on his feet and with the puck. So that allows him to be able to create space, maneuver around defenders, and be able to get around pressure with relative ease as well.